Hi everyone, it's Gretchen Horlacher, Professor Horlacher here with a short video to help you prepare for test number 1. And in this case, I'm going to review an exercise where we add a soprano to a given bass. And remember that on test number 1, we are only using root position 5 and 1 chords, and not even the 5-7 chord, just the triads. So here is a bass line, and the first thing I'll want to do is make sure I know what key it's in. This has 2 sharps in it, and so I might think of D major or B minor. The best thing to do is look at the end where I see a B, and so chances are this is in B minor, because in D major a B is scale degree 6, and that's not a very likely place to stop. I also see this cadence that looks like 5-1 in B, scale degrees 5 and 1, so I'm pretty sure this is B minor. Let's finish off these scale degrees. It's 5, 1, 1, 5, 1. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that the harmonies are going to be 5, 1, 1, 5, 1. So how do I go about writing a soprano line here? Well, I'd like to have something that moves primarily by step, something that has a little bit of shape to it, and let's make this a cadence. And let's make this an imperfect authentic cadence just for the sake of argument. Okay, so I think I'll probably end on scale degree 3. That's a very common thing to do with an imperfect authentic cadence. Now, a couple of guidelines before we start, things that we reviewed today in lecture. 1, always add outer voices before you do inner. Outer first. So we'll go ahead and finish the soprano line when we work on this, before we add the inner parts. 2, when you add the inner parts, and we have such a small amount of harmonic vocabulary, it's possible to do all of these things. Move either by holding a common tone, by moving by step, or by third leap, but no leaps bigger than that. That's about all we need. And to double the root. When we add more harmonies to our vocabulary, we can talk about that, but for the test, it's a good idea to follow these guidelines. The third one is to remember about the leading tone. So we do want to raise it. We don't want to double it. No DLT. Okay. All right, let's go ahead. I'm starting on a 5 chord, so I can't start on a scale degree 1. There is no scale degree 1 and 5. But there is a scale degree 2, so why don't I put a 2 in? And since the bass is going down, it's nice for the soprano to go up and to go by step. So I'll go up to 3. That's a nice way to start. 2, 3. Now I see here that the bass is repeating a 1, and I could keep that 3 if I wanted. But if I want things to be a little bit more exciting, I could change. So why don't I go down to scale degree 1. And now I have scale degree 1 right here and scale degree 3, and it makes a lot of sense just to fill that in. So we have 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And this is what we have sounding at the piano so far. Here's B minor. So we have okay. Good. Now we need to add the inner parts. And adding the inner parts is following the points I've mentioned in number 2 down here. We'd like complete chords. This is B minor, so we need to remember to raise the leading tone. I need a leading tone here. I need an A sharp. And it fits nicely into the alto part. So that means that I'll need to double the unison for the tenor right there. Okay, scale degree 5 is held in common between 5 and 1, so I'll keep that common tone in the tenor and double the root in the alto. Now in the third chord, this is about Oops, let me make that's an F sharp right there. The parts are all going to have to be in closed position to get them all in. I've noticed that the tenor is leaped a third, but no more than that. And going from the third chord to the fourth chord, remember to raise that leading tone, A sharp, and double the root. Both the inner parts had to leap up by third, but no more than that. And then I'll take that leading tone up to 1 and keep the common tone in the tenor part. The leading tone doesn't have to go up to scale degree 1 if it's in an inner part, but it might as well here in the alto part so that we get a doubled root. All right, we're almost done. I'm going to make one little check. How do I make sure I haven't written parallel octaves in fifths? Now chances are I have not if I've followed these guidelines, but I will check. All right. So, for example, from the first to the second chord, I see that there is a fifth between the soprano and the tenor, and also the soprano and the bass. Let's make sure that those pairs of voices don't move on to another fifth. Between the soprano and the tenor on the second chord, there is a D to F sharp that's a sixth, so that's fine. And between the soprano and the bass, in the first chord we had a perfect fifth, but in the second chord we have a third. And so we haven't written any parallels there, and I can go on and do the same kind of checks for all of these pairs of chords. And finally, I'll play this for you. Here's B minor. And that made an imperfect authentic cadence at the end. That means that a root position 5 went to a root position 1, but that the soprano did not close on 1, but closed incompletely, which would be either scale degrees 3 or 5. Okay, see you in class.